Bekiim Bahalacha, day 49, page 153. Siman Nun Aleph, Saif Ein Daled. Right? Ein Daled. It says over here like this. After Vayvarech David, כן, אחרי Vayvarech David, תקנו לומר ויושע השם ושירת הים. So we do ויושע השם, שירת הים, from as Moshe until ובני ישראל הלכו בתוך רבים יושע, and it's זכר ליציאת מצרים. That's how we do it. We have to remember Mitzrayim. Look at 2:16. Yara ben David Abu Daham. Did you realize that the majority of all the tefillot is based? He's the one that's everything. You know, it's like everything. He's bringing the reasons. He's bringing this. David Abu Daham, very important. Okay.
What was it?
Spain. He comes and he says, David Abu Daham wrote that we recite Az Yashir Moshe each morning to remember Zechel Yitzam Mitzrayim. The Zohar Kadosh states that the song of Az Yashir was meant to immortalize the memory of the miracle of the sea splitting. Those who sing this song properly during their lifetimes will have the privilege of having it in the world to come, and to sing its praise during the era of the Mashiach. This is the meaning of when we say lemor, to say it. That means when we say right, lemor, right? That's what it means. Okay. Our ancestors sang it at the time, and they sang later upon entering the land of Eretz Yisrael. They continued when they were forced into exile. They will continue to sing it when they will be redeemed in the future and even in the world to come. The Rechaim HaKadosh pointed out, in support of this midrash, that the verse contains the term Yashir, which means will sing in the future tense. He suggested that this is the reason why the song was incorporated into our daily prayers, because it wasn't just sung, it is going to be sung all the time. So he says now where to say it. So the Rambam wrote that in some communities they recite Az Yashir Moshe immediately after the blessing of Yishtabach. The Rambam did not list Az Yashir Moshe as part of the prayers at all when he described the text of our prayers. He wrote that the congregation recites the blessings of Yishtabach immediately after the Vayvarech David. Most other Rishonim, however, gave instructions to recite Az Yashir Moshe before Yishtabach. And this includes Rav Amram Gaon, Rashi, Sefer Eshkol, the Rokeach, the Tur. Tarisa also gave these instructions, and that this became the universal custom. So by everybody, this became the custom. Okay? Next. 75. Okay, Ayin Hey. Shirat Hayam, you have to say with Kavanah Gedolah. That's what Kavachaim says. You have to mamash concentrate, mamash on the meaning of the words and everything. And you have to say Besimha Uvinima. Ki'ilu Omer B'toch Hayam, as if you're in the sea. You are there right now. Mamash, like deja vu, right? You're going backwards. And then it's going to be Misugele lechaparat avonot. You're going to have a kaparat avonot with that. You heard? Kapara alecha. Right? Fine. So he comes and he says like this. This is a Ben Ishchai, Mishabra Kavachim. So he says here like this. Midrash Shochar Tov states that if someone sings song to Hashem to experience a miracle, he's ensured that he has been cleansed of all his sins and has a clean slate as if he was just created. You heard? You just got a miracle done to you. And you come and you start praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu and singing a song, kaparat avonot. Okay? This is what happened to the people of Am Yisrael when they sang Az Yashir Moshe, and this is the meaning of the pasuk, Vayasa Moshe et Yisrael mi Yamsuf. Moshe moved the people from Yamsuf. He extracted the people from the sins that they had committed at the edge of the sea. What? Yeah, it's like a mikveh. Yeah. So he says, the Sole Belula, cited the Midrash teaching that whoever recites the song daily with joy and takes care to pronounce the words correctly using the lyrical notes of the Torah. You see, this is where, by the way, I always say that you should say with Ta'amim. You're using the notes of the Torah, right? The liturgical. As if he had just experienced Hashem taking him from Egypt and through the sea is forgiven of all of his sins. That Rav Chida instructed us to imagine standing at the sea's edge after having marched through the dry seabed and watching the Egyptians running in the sea, noting that this is the way one can achieve atonement from all one's sins. See also the Kaf HaChaim in the Mishnah Berurah, Sefer Charadim states, there is no doubt that this song's prayer is renewed every day, potentially matching the power, if possessed, right, that the first time on the sea's bank. Okay? So then it says this is one of the 10 special ways to achieve atonement without subjugating oneself to self-affliction and prolonged fasting. So there's one of 10. Huh? Yeah, for sure it's a good one. He says here, there's the Kavachim Falache that he brings us down. There are 10 segulot, right? I actually have a sefer at home called Sharei Mechila. And that Sharei Mechila, he explains what are the 10 different things. This is one of the 10. You understand? Very important. Okay, one of the 10. אחד מעשר הדברים, כפרה בלי סיגופים. אין לך הרבה. Yeah? Here you do. With liturgical notes. As noted above, the Surfside encouraged people to say, right, as Yashir Moshe with liturgical notes, as if reading from the Torah, the Hechal concurred with this. But in fact, in most communities, it is not practiced. The Syrian communities abroad are a notable exception. For on Shabbat and Yom Tov, the congregation sings as Yashir Moshe in unison with liturgical notes. Even in those congregations, it is not practiced on the weekdays. Probably because people are in a hurry. By the way, you should know, Moroccans did it all the time. Moroccans, anytime they do with ta'amim, they did it with ta'amim. So for example, right, the Kadeshli Chol Bechor, ta'amim. Ketoret, ta'amim. They wouldn't read the Ketoret. Yes. That's called Shira. That's called Shira. And that's where the Segula comes from. That's where they're doing it. Now remember, it's not only just the Sole Belula. The Hechal Brura Gam Pasak Kacha. Now you also pass it. What? No, so we have to practice.
If you do the
Tamei Mikra is the singing. Yeah. Yeah. The Chesel Alafim, how do we read it on Shabbat Shira? Tamei Mikra. You understand? That is singing. That is the Shira. The Chesel Alafim, the Ben Yishchai wrote that we should recite it with joy and a pleasant melody. And what? No, but I'm saying for the parasha. You're right. That's how we sing it. For the parasha, though, it's called Az Yashir Moshe, but we sing it in the ta'amim. You understand? So he says, and this probably means that to chant it melodiously with its liturgical notes. The drashot of Rabbeinu Yoshua, Ibn Sui, becomes, and he says, instructs people to say each day with enthusiasm as if it's the first time they ever sang it. This common custom in the land of Israel is to chant with a tune that does not at all resemble, right, the liturgical notes. Okay, it all depends, obviously, you understand? But fine. With joy. Chesel Alafim is Rabbi Eliezer Papo, right, the Pele Yoetz. He writes that although not everyone can control the feelings of time and happy, everyone should try to inspire himself to feel inner joy. One way to accomplish this is to contemplate how Hashem performed miracles of our ancestors and how He saves us every single day for those who annihilate us. If someone would only pay attention to the words of Az Yashir, he would find cause to rejoice in every single word. It is important, however, not to do this for one's own benefit, to achieve atonement for one's sins, but to do it completely for Hashem's honor and satisfaction. Okay, what about a mourner's house? So based on the above, some Achorim say that one say you shouldn't say it in a mourner's house, where the joy should not be displayed. See, if but the Marin Shalom Tzion, he said, custom is to recite it without any problem. Right? Again, because, there's no... Okay, while standing up, do you stand up or not? The Yun Yaakov noted that when the Prophet Yecheskel resurrected dry bones in the valley, right, there's Hatzamot Yeveshot, yeah? The Haftarah. So he says those people stood up, right, and sang a song of thanksgiving. He suggested that this Midrash teaches us whenever we wish to sing to Hashem, we should stand up. Right? The Yefil Levada, the Zohar seems to support this position. Some rule based on these sources that you should actually stand up. Right? The Piskei Teshuvah commented that this is the common custom amongst Ashkenazi Jews, but amongst the Sfaradim, they stay seated. Okay? Next, 76, Ein Vav. When we say the pasuk Mi Chamocha B'Elohim Hashem, Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, yeah, one must take care, huh?
For the Sephardic Jew, however, that means you shouldn't stand, but however you...
So in the middle of 76, when we're saying the first one, you're saying Mi Chamocha B'Elohim Hashem, Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh. The first one is Mi Chamocha with a kaf, but it does not have a dagesh, so it's a chaf, right? And it's pronounced with the sound of chaf. In the second one, it's going to be Mi Kamocha, it's a kaf with a dagesh, and it's pronounced with the sound of K. In this verse, the pasuk says, Kalatz Motai Tomer Hashem Yichamocha, the letter kaf has no dagesh, right? And it's pronounced with the sound of, right? Kalatz Motai Tomer Hashem Yichamocha. Sorry, it's the chamocha there. Okay.
People make a mistake.
Which one?
Many
people make a lot of mistakes. You're right. I hear the Tori Shem or Yadi. Well, Yadi. Right? Nafshi. Nafshi. You don't know how many mistakes people make. Yeah, Vayashiv, Perushot. The mistakes that are made. Ooh. Yeah, fine. According to the rules of Hebrew grammar, when a word ends with any of the letters of Aleph, He, Vav, Yod, Ehevi, or Ohio, that's why I always tell you, is followed by a word beginning with the letter Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Kaf, Pe, or Taf. That's Beged Kefet or Beged Kipat. The beginning letter is usually pronounced without a dagesh, right, depending on the liturgical notes, depending on the tamim. This verse is an exception to the rule, and in the second Mi Kamocha, we actually do say Ka, right? The Orchot Chaim Sadat Bet Yosef explained that it is important to pronounce the word the way that it is, so it does not sound like we were saying Hashem is Micha, right? As if Micha is a god. Micha, according to the Midrash, is a person who was responsible for the creation of the golden calf. Although the pasuk says Kalatz Matai Toman Hashem Micha Mocha, right, as the same combination, it is totally unrelated to the generation that left Egypt and went through the sea, but they still do it as well. Meaning, I understand Micha Mocha, right, but that's to do with the Yetziat Mitzrayim, and that was when he was there. But Kalatz Matai Toman, what is that connected with Micha? But still, they want to do the same thing, okay? He comes and he says, that's why it's like unrelated, and that's why he says that there's no problem. Okay, and that's why you could still keep it as Micha Mocha, and you don't have to say Mika, right? Okay, fine. Next, in the words of Amzu Ga'alta, the letter Gimel as a dagesh, and it's pronounced with the sound of Ga, right? In the words Yidemu Ka'aven, the word Kaf as a dagesh, right? And so the word is Ka'aven, right? 219, why? He says, the Orchot Chaim Sadat Bet Yosef explain that although the words Ga'alta follows the letter Vav, we still pronounce the letter Gimel with the dagesh, since if we were not, it might sound like we were saying Ga'alta, which is like disgusting, like with an Ain, instead of with an Aleph, right? So he says that Hashem is disgusted with the nation of Israel, Hashem forgid. Since the Gimel has a dagesh, it is easier to distinguish between the second letter as an Aleph and not an Ain. Likewise, we pronounce the letter Kaf in the word Kavin, although it follows the letter Vav. Otherwise, it might sound like we were saying, right? Yidemucha Avin, that a stone will keep you silent. Hashem, right? Instead of Yidemu Ka'aven, Yidemucha, right? Ka'aven. He's going to make you silent like a stone. Heaven forbid. So because of that we do Ka'aven. Okay? When reciting the words of B'mayim Adrim, one should pause between the two words. Right? Since the correct meaning of the verse is the mighty Egyptians sank in the water, and not they sank in mighty waters. If you say B'mayim Adirim, it means mighty waters. Say B'mayim, comma, Adirim, so then they sank, the mighty Egyptians sank in water. Meaning the word mighty, right, Adirim, is not going back on the water. It's going back on the Egyptians. Okay, so it all depends how you're putting the pause. These instructions are given by the Ben Ish Chai, 220 on the bottom. Right? The Mishabra and the Kavachaim Sofer, they explain the lyrical note on the word of B'mayim that denotes a pause. Okay, suggesting that the word Adirim is not describing the waters, but refers to the Egyptians. Rabbi Mezuzah pointed out that in the one of Rabbi Yehuda Levi's poems, he clearly stated that Adirim refers to the waters, and this is supported by the Mechilta. Then the Rishonim disputed how to interpret this pasuk. The Lachabra likewise sorted both these interpretations. So according to the interpretation that the word Adirim describes the waters, it is unnecessary to pause right between the two words, because then it's B'mayim Adirim. It's mighty waters, not mighty of the Egyptians. So basically, it comes out there's a machloket. What is mighty referring to? The Egyptians or the water? And since you have both, so you can do whichever one you want. 77. We recite the pasuk of Hashem Yimloch Olam 2 times. So the name of Hashem is recited 18 times in the song. The repetition also signifies that this is the final verse of the song. Remember, whenever you do something twice, it's a finale. So that's what we do at the end of Pesukei Zimra, at the end of the 5 Pirkei Teilim, Kol Neshmat Alillah twice. And here also, Hashem twice. Right? Well, why? Because when you're doing something twice, you're making you're finishing something. It's like chotem. So same thing over here, right? Besides the fact that you also want to complete the 18 names of Hashem. After that, we recite the Aramaic translation of the pasuk. This is followed by the Torah's 1-verse summary of the miracle of the sea, Kiva Susparo, and it's connected to the song preceding it. Have a wonderful day.